Okay, we're back, and I had been actually recording for 15 minutes, only to realize that I wasn't getting any audio from Ableton into OBS. I love OBS, but it is so complicated and finicky. Sometimes you open it up, and the settings aren't exactly the way they were. So, but anyways, had a crash on the last attempt, and so let's just start from scratch on this one. I had pulled a couple of tracks in from the previous sketch, and had this idea that I would try to do that from here on out. Just take my favorite track or a couple of tracks from each previous sketch and use those as a jumping off point for the next sketch to kind of create a seamless flow of ideas. And so I had also heard a bass line, kind of not really bass line, but sort of a bass texture drone, and had started messing around with this run an operator with a loop set to its envelope running through the saturator with the wave shaper on, which gives you some really kind of nutty, squealy, some really surly saturation type of sounds. Not exactly the most realistic in terms of analog type stuff, but as far as sound designs go, pretty usable, pretty interesting type of sounds from the saturator for sure. And also when you render out the saturator at 192, you definitely get a lot of different. I think it sounds smoother at that point, as we've done some tests on, and it proven it is definitely. Let's give ourselves a little more runway here. Yeah, a lot of effects do sound better. Let me just make sure. Okay, yeah. Turn that on. Go ahead, start. I really love this rollerball mouse. It is really easy to just put your palm on it and kind of pull it up and down. And I've seen some sound designers use foot pedals, actually, that's in MIDI CC. I've seen some sound designers use Wacom tablets to draw out. I've seen various motion sensor gesture devices. I think really like whatever kind of, you know, I guess controllers or gesture type of devices you can use to get an interesting sound, the better. Whatever works for you, obviously, but it's good to experiment with a lot of different things. And, I kind of feel like whatever gets the sound ideas out the fastest. Wow, this width is especially pushed up to 100%, bringing out a lot of bass and treble at the same time, which makes for a really deep kind of sound when you scoop out the mids around 300 and you've got a lot of bass and treble left over. All right, cool. Yeah, if we get all these knobs going once, I think magic things were going to emerge. It's not the bass sound I had in my mind originally, but I like to start with an idea in my head, try to aim for it, but not be so controlling that I spend hours, fumbling about trying to get this sound. I mean, I have done this as a challenge, when I have the right energy to work with. I have literally taken a song or sections of songs even and tried to completely recreate it with synthesizers, and it never of course turns out exactly like the original, but I've gotten pretty close in certain cases where the original was like a more basic type of sound. Obviously, you wouldn't want to release something like that, you know, because then you'd be in plagiarism territory, but I think it's good to be open to, you know, having an idea in the beginning and then sort of following your ears and mind and heart, whatever, along the way to, you know, basically discover and settle upon new ideas along the way. Some real deep bass just popping out of there. I love a good bass line with like a really snowy top, a really icy high end to go with it. There's one artist I loved to listen to when I was younger, Porter Ricks, were definitely one of my favorites. And they had some tracks that were just really murky, deep, rolling bass lines. With that kind of really just crispy high end and guttural low end. And sometimes there are these sounds, you know, I'll remember from songs I heard so long ago, and I'll hear something like that in whatever I'm working on currently. And you know, it's interesting to note that like that kind of sound like that from, I don't know if the song was I think it might have been called, I don't think we wanted to automate this actually. Let's go ahead and delete that. Oh, I keep forgetting that this is on. Sometimes it's like when you're in the zone, you just don't, yeah, I don't have a clue like what's actually, yeah, I like the depth push up. Seems a bit thin going down. But of course, there's so many knobs going on all at once. So yeah, I feel like sometimes I really try to recreate that that bass line from one of those. I don't know if I forget the name of the album. It was like biomechanics or something like that. Really underwater and murky sounding release, but. And I don't go back and listen to it and then try and recreate it. I just have this sound in my head, you know, and it's probably nothing like what was actually in this song, you know, back when I was listening to it around 2000. But it's interesting. It's nice to have those sounds as a jumping off point. And of course, just to be open. Starting to sound like a surly creature. I do like a high pass. Sometimes you can get with a res push up. You can get some real deep bass out of there. Alright, let's give this a shot. Well, I think my brain is working 100% today. It's usually like that when there's snow in the air. Which is the case right now. We live so high up here in Denver. I think when the clouds really come down, my brain just feels like full of it. Full of the murk. Sometimes just makes everything go a little slower. And I'm starting to realize that that's actually not a bad thing. Sometimes you just gotta slow down. You just have a Bob Ross moment. Just gotta slow down every now and then. That's right. Stop and smell the trees. whoops, didn't want to do that. I definitely want to get in here and smooth out these millions of points. Fun fact, if you do smooth out all your points, you have much smaller Ableton projects. Because every single little dot is like some kind of recorded in a spreadsheet or something, I guess. Let's just pull this one off the grid. But obviously this is a maintenance thing, and you know, it's not exactly the most exciting thing to do. I want to pull this one off the grid too. Sometimes when you're working, you just don't have time to clean up your mess. And when you're really creating, you're gonna make a mess. But if you can, get a hotkey going at least, that helps. Like, right there. Let's pull this one off the grid. I like my automation loops grid-free, cage-free, free range, all organic, no preservatives. Alright, so we have a lot of things moving around there. That's a lot of fun. I'm actually kind of curious, what if I duplicate this and I pull in a gate and a side chain. I guess I should turn the session recording off. Let's turn side chain back on, pull in from base. And if I set this one to sends only, so now we essentially kept all of our automations. I wish you could just duplicate, but you don't get to keep all your automations at that point. So if you duplicate the track and then you just siphon the audio through however you wish, I like using the gate. It seems to be the easiest way. Although I guess it helps when you have the sidechain button on. Wow, this drive in there is a fascinating move. Lots of crisp. Sounded nothing like the original, but then, you know, if we go back and listen to, if we mess with the original, the source, the operator, definitely interesting. Not sure if we want that much craziness. We could obviously automate the wet and dry. Now that I've been talking about Porter rigs, I'm on this kick. I kind of want to hear this like, you know, ambient, tunnely, droney bass. Probably nothing like the kick on the Porter Ricks album. It's almost more bass-line-ish. try a saturation on the kick, we might get... Pull the volume of this down here. I think we're getting a bit intense. Kind of like the breathing sound you get when you have a really long pre-delay there. Definitely a meaty kick. I think the saturation really does help. Yeah, that is a formidable kick right there. And if we drop this compressor in here, let's take it from the kick here, operator. We'll rename this as kick. So maybe put it on there too. That is a real subby kick there. Oh, we had these off. This one I think we could try automate actually to the beat. Let's go back up here. Some really strange things happening with this bass. Now I want to try also modulating this to the beats. Not super noticeable. Sure if that's really the effect I'm going for. So I'll tone that one down. I am curious what would happen if we were to modulate this kick kind of up in pitch. It's not super noticeable. Let's see, 23%. bit more 8080. There are some real nasty sounds happening right now. It's almost intimidating. So let me see what would happen if I just got rid of a lot of the high end here. That is gnarly, growly. Let's see what happens when I pull this. Okay, cool. I think I have a bit of a clue of how I want to automate this thing. I want to give it a bit of runway, a bit more runway than what the randomizer originally gave me. And I think we needed to also have the cue. And this is spooky. Cool. Take down some of this. Base 1, base effects. All right, let's try to automate some of this. Got here looks like a pretty reasonable looking little curve there. All right, so now the cue and the frequency are going to kind of run a little separately after a certain amount of time because their loop lengths are not the same. I would love to hear this played out really loud on a big system in a big warehouse somewhere. Probably in Germany. That makes the most sense to me. That's where you want to hear some business like this be played out on a really loud. Cool. Let's pull in the noise generator. This is my go-to sleep maker. Will put me to sleep if I'm on the road and I have a laptop with me. I can just put that thing on in the background, let that play all night, and I'll sleep like a log. Let's get some pressure going here. Cool. And I also want to put a limiter on this base, because there are some times where some things just jump right out. Man, that is really in your face. Let's just try a little something, something. Yeah, it's almost like making my ears feel funny. There's just so much bass coming through the headphones. So this adds a bit of a variation. Now, if we group this, and we just say everything from C down here, and drop in another operator, and get ourselves a little bit of a clicky click. And how about some triplets? Got ourselves a little clacky clack going on. It's a fascinating kind of rolling rhythm. All right, so tell you that drum bus effect is so powerful. It's just really, you can just pull out the gnarliest of subs. All right, C4, I think. Jeez. It's like a. That sounds like it's something is like sucking. And kind of almost like that little, just subtle. I wonder what a couple of these in a row would sound like. And a lot of it is being affected by this tremolo here set to 3/16. Getting some odd things happening. Fun with percussions. Sometimes I like to just really smash a lot of MIDI notes together. Sounds like a quacking duck. Maybe not that many together. How about? No boom. Well, that's one knob you could link up if you wanted to, kill the bass. A classic, overused, trite and true DJ move. One easy thing to do to get some tones out of a white noise source is an auto filter. The new algorithms, OSR, you can push the res past 100. Just get a straight tone out of that. There's a lot we could do with this here rhythm pattern. One thing is we've got a racks folder here, and we could probability gate. This will basically randomize all the notes coming from this pattern. So that also means our kick. Now we can edit this MIDI note probability gate rack, and it's basically got a probability gate on each note, which is totally excessive, but whatever. And it looks like G minus 1 is the kick. So there's our kick. We can see notes piling through there. What I would do is remove this mapping and then make a new mapping here. We'll just call this kick chance. So we can control the chance of the kick. So at 0, the way I have it set up, obviously, you could set it up to have 100% and 0. That way, 100%. Well, the numbers don't read out. That's like 100% off. 0% random. Kind of almost makes more sense the knob be on all the way and the sound going through all the way. So now we're getting kind of an endless supply of random sounds. Now we can modulate the random kick so that we if we set it to 0, those notes will always come through. If we set it to, like, say 34%, that means every second kick beat will maybe come through or not, And we can also automate this to do our bidding in a random fashion. So yeah, that's some dark and twisted beat action. I kind of want to hear, just play around with, got a little time to kill, a little tweaky note. What is a tweaky note, you say? I really have no idea, but we're gonna find out. We're just gonna play around until something comes through. I do like some of the odd beats that are happening. Squeaky note, yeah, where's this squeaky note? Are we getting anything? At D4, did I even send a note into D4? I don't know. Yeah, it looks like that's the one, but that note is off. Yeah, I like this kind of off the grid. So we had that set to that. Yeah, okay. So best way to get a tweak note, tonal nonsense type of sound. Well, yeah, that's one way to skin a cat. I hate that phrase, but sounds like our probability gate is doing the works on this tweaky note. We can put a bunch of effects after it as well. Not that that'll do us any good, but you never know. It's fun to try. I mean, that's some intensity. So we can turn off our MIDI note probability rack and be able to hear this. This also kind of reminds me a little bit of the artist RJ Valio, who I loved several. That is way too crazy. What about a limiter? Not sure if that'll do us any good, but yeah, I think the saturator is really picking this one out and pushing it up. This limiter, it's obviously not doing anything. Yeah, this loop is really tight, so obviously Some cool sounds. So yes, let's automate that. I like some of those variations coming through there. We've got this set to off. Let's go ahead and fix that, because if it's set to off, good chance if I'm recording it, we're gonna get a crash. Or we'll get a crash anyway. Oh my goodness. Well, okay. We'll be back. Okay, and we're back. Wow, okay, so I guess Ableton did crash when we had this set to a quantized amount. Oh! That was close. It was a close one. Anytime we get the audio stuttering like that, I'm just kind of freaking out a little bit. Of course. Cool. So I really like where this one went. Wasn't expecting it at all, but I think the biggest takeaway is the fact that we had this, I say we, me, myself, and I, and all the voices in my head. We, the royal we, had this idea of a song that had really touched us, a long time ago, and attempted to try and recreate some of the sounds remembered from that song. Of course, I'm listening to this and it's such a different beast. I mean, there are certain similarities, kind of growling bass, but it is definitely its own monster. And so, yeah, I think that is a cool trick, technique, challenge / idea to try and do sometime, is just try to remember a song you really love, not listen to it, but try to recreate maybe even just one instrument or section from that, and be surprised at where you might end up. It will probably be very different from where you started or the idea in your head, and be open to those ideas. Don't shoot yourself down too much because it doesn't turn out exactly how you wanted it to. I really think that the most fulfilling thing that can happen in creativity is letting go. Once you let go and just sort of accept the idea that there is no such thing as mistakes, only happy accidents, as my hero and ghost mentor Bob Ross is known to say. So until next time, enjoy.